Good afternoon, Shiloh. So, we are now on our third lesson in health. Okay, so I hope that, okay, there it is. So we are going to discuss this afternoon about foodborne diseases. Okay, so turn your book to page 350. Okay, you have now page 350. So, our lesson is about foodborne diseases. Okay, so are you familiar with foodborne diseases? Okay, knowing that that is a title, so we're going to deal with diseases this afternoon. Okay, mga name ng mga common diseases caused by food contamination, food poisoning. Okay, so here, study the picture. What can you say about this picture? So we have here diarrhea. Do you know what's diarrhea? We also have upset stomach, fever, vomiting, cholera, and nausea. Okay, so what do you think this picture means? Okay, bakit kaya? Why does this man looks like this? Okay, try to see kung meron na siyang hot or cold compress ba yan sa ulo niya. Also have a parang thermometer sa mouth. Okay, he's holding his stomach as well as his back. Okay, and he cannot stand straight. So he's not comfortable. He's in pain, probably he's uncomfortable. He's not feeling well, diba? Well, why do you think so? Let's find out. Okay. So here we have foodborne diseases. So foodborne diseases, these are usually caused by eating foods that have harmful organisms in them. You try to see the picture, diba? So yung tinidor, we cannot actually see these organisms, but they're actually there. Okay? So, try to imagine pag ganito ka dirty yung tinidor mo, and you get to put that inside your mouth. So, yung mga organisms na yan, all of them, they get to enter inside your body. And possibly, there's a high probability na magaya tayo sa taong ito. Okay? So, I hope you follow. See, these include bacteria, parasites, and viruses. And they're mostly found in raw meat, chicken, fish, and eggs. Okay, mga raw meat, mga hilaw. Okay, hilaw. Bakit hilaw? Kasi usually sa hilaw, doon active yung mga bacteria, parasites, viruses. Unless kung naluto siya, mamamatayan sila dahil sa init. Do you follow? Okay. So okay. So they can, yung mga bacteria, parasites, and viruses, they can spread to any type of food. So if food is left out on tables or outdoors, kung hindi siya nakatakip, di ba? It's why nga we keep our food safe, di ba? If na ay mga leftovers, takluban gid natin na siya. Okay? So what happens is, sometimes we just leave it there sa table without covering it. Sometimes our food are just left outside, di ba? Or is too store or is stored too long before it is eaten. So, sobraan na siya pag-store before siya nakaon, which was supposed to be eaten as early as possible. Ba? So, they can also grow on food. Mag-grow sila sa food. Yung mga molds. Remember? Okay. Not be familiar with molds. Yung mga parang cotton-cotton na tumutubo sa food pag it's that's expired. Okay? It's not safe to eat and it's not good to eat anymore. Okay? So we have here mga reasons why poisoning happens. Okay? May mga reasons why food poisoning happens. One, improper cooking temperature, meaning kulang. Okay? Supposed to be cooked in that particular temperature, but instead of reaching that particular temperature, nasa baba lang, medyo mababa yung na-achieve. So, hindi masyadong na-cook yung food. So, magpo-food poisoning ka niyan. Next, dirty or contaminated utensils and equipment. Okay, now, this is very common. Okay? If dirty yung mga utensils mo, kutsara, tinidor, mga sandok, kutsilyo, mga yung tadtaran, anong tawag dyan? Yung tadtaran, okay, pag dirty yan sila, makakontaminate din sila sa food. Okay? Improper hot and holding temperature. Let's say, for example, you want to drink coffee, but then when yung tubig mo galing sa gripo and you boiled the water. But sadly, yung pag-boil mo ng water, it did not reach yung boiling point talaga because you want it not so hot. Okay? So, wrong yun. Okay? You're supposed to wait for it to boil that much para patay talaga yung germs. Whatever organisms are there in the water. Okay? We also have poor health and personal hygiene. Okay? Pag mahina yung katawan mo, and poor din yung personal hygiene mo, hindi ka masyadong naliligo, naghuhugas. Okay? So, may possibility na mapo-food poison ka. Okay? Yung germs galing din sa katawan mo. Okay? So, magkakasakit ka. So, mapo-food poison ka easily. Okay? Food from unsafe sources. Okay, let's say for example, yung mga food galing sa mga street foods, di ba? Oh, you're not sure how they prepared the food. You did not see how they prepare those foods. So unsafe na. So we never know saan galing yun. We are not sure if their hands are clean, the things, equipments, utensils that they used are clean. We never know that. So food poisoning yung kakalabasan. Okay? Next. So what are the harmful organisms that cause food poisoning? Ano yun sila? So we have Escherichia coli. Okay? So si Escherichia coli or E. coli, mas common siya pag E. coli. Okay? This is the common cause of food poisoning and diarrhea. Sikat siya. Okay? Sikat siya when it comes to food poisoning and diarrhea. See, E. coli infection, this happens when food or water becomes contaminated with bacteria from infected feces. So, what do you mean by feces? Yung mga dumi. Okay? Dumi ng tao. Okay? Dumi ng tao. So, kapag yung food mo, that's why nga, dapat sure ka kung saan galing yung food na kinakain mo. Because we never know, baka yung hands na nag-prepare ng food is contaminated with bacteria from infected feces. What happens? May infect tayo ng E. coli. So, yung ang result? Magkaka-diarrhea tayo. Sasakit yung tiyan natin. And magdudugo yung mga dumi natin. Feces is yung deposit natin, okay? Yung dumi ng tao. May blood siya. If the food poisoning is caused by E. coli. Okay? So let's continue. Hepatitis A virus. So ito si hepatitis A virus. It looks so, medyo maganda yung color niya pero ayoko sa kanya. Okay? The color is turquoise, may pagka-pinkish na purple. No? May mga flowers. May design pala din yung mga virus, no? But let's not get attracted to that. Okay. So it's commonly transmitted in foods which are contaminated by an infected food handler or from raw shellfish. Okay? So, infected yung food handler. Let's say yung food handler may hepatitis A virus. Na-transmit niya dun sa food kasi nag-handle siya ng food and we bought that, we ate that. Okay? So, contaminated na rin tayo. Na-transmit na yung virus sa atin. Okay? So, it's caused by virus. Okay? So, hepatitis, this is a common form of liver injury. That means inflammation of the liver. Mamamaga yung atay mo. Okay? Mamamaga yung atay mo. Okay. So, we also have Salmonella. The Salmonella is a type of bacteria. Look at it. I can't really stand looking at it. This is a closer look of Salmonella. It's colored pink. Yes. So it's a type of bacteria which is very common in the intestines of animals. So siya makikita siya sa intestine of animals. Okay? So it often exists in the environment. So remember, di ba, yung mga animals natin, nasa labas ng bahay lang. Diba? Nasa backyard. Like mga dogs, cats. We also have mga livestock like pigs. Di ba? So sila, they exist in the environment because that is also where yung mga animals natin are staying. Okay? So, if they stay in the environment, tapos yung animals are just around us, so may possibility na makukuha nilang yung bacteria. That bacteria will stay in that animal's intestines. Okay? So, if you're infected with this will include gastroenteritis and typhoid fever. Okay? Magkaka-fever ka. Now, we have here common foodborne diseases. Okay? So, ano yung mga common foodborne diseases? Number 1, we have amoebiasis. Okay? Si amoebiasis is a parasitic infection of the intestine. Oh, it's an infection of the intestine. Remember, amoebiasis, a parasitic infection of the intestine. This is commonly transmitted when you eat or drink something that is contaminated with the parasite. Okay? So, most of the time, you might feel the parasite that lives in the large intestine but does not cause any symptoms or signs. Sometimes it attacks the lining. Okay? It attacks the lining of the large intestine that causes diarrhea that contains blood. Okay? Stomach pains. We also have stomach cramps, stomach upset, puro stomach kasi large intestine yung kanyang target, and loss of appetite and fever. Okay, what's the next one? We have cholera. So, si cholera is a bacterial disease that usually spread through contaminated drinking water. Okay, contaminated drinking water. Okay. Okay, so again, si cholera is a bacterial disease that usually spread through contaminated drinking water. So, gikan siya sa water. Especially if galing sa, ano lang siya, sa gripo na hindi safe. Okay? So, kahit saan yung hindi safe. That's why mostly people now, they prefer to drink mineral water because it is safer. Okay? If you want to avoid cholera, you drink mineral water na lang. To be sure. Okay? So, diarrhea, the cholera-related diarrhea comes in suddenly and may quickly cause dangerous loss of body fluids. Made-dehydrate ka talaga. Why? Because yung ano mo, yung fez mo, ay yung dumi mo is often pale, milky appearance that resembles water in which rice has been rinsed. Yung parang pinag-ugasan ng rice. Okay? So dehydration can develop within hours after the onset of cholera symptoms, depending on how much body fluids have been lost. Kaya you keep on depositing kasi, lagi ka nagdudumi. And usually water lang siya. Kaya madidehydrate ka talaga. Excuse me. So, a loss of 10% or more of total body weight indicates severe dehydration. Pag mag-weight loss ka na, severe dehydration talaga yan. Pag nawala yung 10% ng total weight mo. So, nausea and vomiting, magsusuka ka nito, mahihilo ka. Okay? Especially in the early stages of cholera. So, vomiting may persist for hours at a time. Lagi ka magsusuka, so madidehydrate ka. What do you mean by madidehydrate? Yung loss of water sa body mo. Okay? It's not safe. Okay? Next, we have diarrhea. This is very common. So diarrhea is characterized by frequent runny or watery bowel movements. So this is usually brought on by gastrointestinal infection caused by viruses, bacteria, and parasites. Okay? So symptoms usually start with abdominal pains, sakit yung tiyan mo. It is followed by diarrhea that usually lasts for a few days. Okay? Other symptoms may include fever. We also have loss of appetite. Wala ka nang ganang kumain. Okay? Stomach upset. Vomiting. Pagsusuka. Weight loss and dehydration. So in cases of viral gastroenteritis, children usually develop fever. Okay? You will develop fever and vomiting first, followed by diarrhea. So, para siyang LBM, but more severe siya. Another one, we have dysentery. So, dysentery is a painful intestinal infection that is usually caused by bacteria or parasites. So, this is intestinal infection sa intestine mo. Okay? So, this is an inflammation and swelling of the walls of the intestine. So, imagine, di ba? Masakit talaga siya because namamaga yung walls ng intestine mo. Let's say, ito yung walls, namamaga dito. Okay? And if it's touched, sakit din na siya. So, ano yung mga symptoms? Abdominal pain, cramps and bloating. Okay? Passing gas, urgency to move bowel, feeling of incomplete emptying. Feeling ni mo, though galing ka ng CR, parang babalik ka na naman kasi parang hindi ka patapos. Loss of appetite, weight loss, headache, fatigue or weakness, vomiting, and dehydration. Manghihina ka talaga because you keep on going to the CR, nagvomit ka, diba? Okay. Manghihina ka because you lose appetite. Next, we have hepatitis A. So, hepatitis A, this is a liver disease caused by the hepatitis A virus. Liver disease siya. Sakit sa atay. It's closely associated with unsafe water, inadequate sanitation, and poor personal hygiene. That's why nga you need to have a good personal hygiene. Laging naliligo o laging malinis. And make sure that hindi ka hugawan. Okay? Because if hugawan ka, you will tend to have a lot of diseases. Okay? So general signs and symptoms, you will have fatigue, nausea, and vomiting, abdominal pain or discomfort, clay-colored bowel movements, loss of appetite, low-grade fever, dark urine, joint pain, masakit yung mga kasukasuan mo, yellowing of the skin and eyes. Oh, this is actually one of the common signs. Pag nag-yellow yung skin mo and your eyes, they will say that you are a candidate of HEPA. Okay? So, pa-check up ka na para maagapan. Okay? If you have hepatitis A, you may have a mild illness that would last a few weeks or a severe illness that lasts several months. So, not everyone with hepatitis A develops signs or symptoms. Kaya minsan, nakakahawa siya. Okay? Let's go then with typhoid fever. Okay? So, typhoid fever is a bacterial disease caused by Salmonella typhi. Okay? So, Salmonella typhi. It's transmitted through consumption of food or drink contaminated by the feces or urine of infected people. Okay? Yung mga dumi or ihi galing sa mga infected na tao, if yung drink or food mo contaminated ng mga yon, so you might get that bacteria. Okay? Ang lakas ng boses ni Kuya Isda, no? Oh, so ang ganda ng background ni teacher. Ang ganda ng background niya. Pabalik-balik siya eh. Okay. So, nandun na. Tapos na siya. So, yung signs, general signs and symptoms of typhoid fever are high fever. We also have a headache, constipation or diarrhea. Constipation yung nahihirapan kang magdumi. Diarrhea, yung lagi ka nagdudumi. Okay? Rose-colored spots on the chest. Mga spots. And namamagang atay. Okay? So, how are we going to avoid this? Paano ba? So, we have here the practices to keep food safe. Number 1, eat only foods that are properly cooked. Make sure that your food are properly cooked. Okay? So, if you cut into chicken and it looks pink and raw inside, tell a grown-up about it. Let's say, for example, you are eating fried chicken. Okay? If you are eating fried chicken, and if nakita pa nimo na siya dugo near sa bones, that means that that is not properly cooked. Okay? That is not properly cooked. So, hindi na siya kanon because kung bloody pa siya, that means that kulang siya na pagkaluto. You tell mommy and daddy, nanay, tatay about that. Ate, kuya. Okay? Do not eat that. Next, check the date. If you check the date, most packaged foods have expiration dates. So dapat make sure hindi pa na-expired ang imong gikaon. Okay? So don't eat a food after its expiration date. Next, look at what you're eating and smell it too. Okay? Sometimes it looks delicious but when you smell it, hindi na maganda yung smell niya. So that means that it's not safe to eat anymore. If it smells sour, don't eat it right away. Okay? Especially if that food is usually smells sweet and then now it smells sour, so do not eat it, okay, to keep you safe. So milk is a good example. Yes, milk. Si milk kasi if you are going to magtitimpla ka ng milk and then you're not going to consume it right away, possibility is that will be sour after a few hours. So, do not drink yung milk na overexposed na tapos it's not it has been prepared for how many hours already. Okay? So, especially yung molds. Pag may nakikita ka ng mold sa foods mo, do not eat it, okay? Because those are have fungi already. Okay, so molds can be green, pink, white, or brown. So those are signs that the food are spoiled. Do not eat that. Okay, next, cover and refrigerate food right away. So bacteria get a good chance to grow in foods that sit at room temperature. So by putting food in the refrigerator, you're preventing the growth of those bad germs. That's why nga, di ba, when we have leftovers, we tend to put them inside the refrigerator so that we can still eat them the next day. Okay? So, cover them if you want to eat them and put it in the refrigerator para naman all you need to do is just heat it the following day. So, speaking of heat, number 5, heat leftover food before eating it. Okay? So, ask a grown-up or an adult to help you. Okay, if you want to eat the leftover food, initon pa man na siya, so ask assistance. Di po ka magbutbot og init, ana. Okay? Next, if you eat raw fruits and vegetables, wash them well before eating or preparing them. Why? Because, pag galing sa market yan, a lot of people have already touched it. Okay? And we never know saan galing yung mga kamay nila. So, let's make sure na clean siya by washing them. Okay? If you want to be safe. Okay? If you want to be safe. Now, so I hope you have learned a lot and take note about those things. Now you answer activity A and shine together on page 357 until 358. If you have questions, you tell mommy to give me a message and I'll help you. Okay? So thank you and I hope you have learned something about that. Okay? And be safe. Study because the following day we will have quiz. Okay? So bye.